Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. So yesterday we had the fastest money method and glitch in the game currently. Today we're going back to a single piece build. Tomorrow we'll be looking at the history of the money grind in GT7. So let's strap in for today's video. This features the almighty Alfa Romeo 8C, one of the most beautiful and striking cars in the entirety of Gran Turismo 7, and one you've probably forgotten. However, turns out this makes a fairly decent 700pp GT3 build. So in terms of the car itself, this is the 8C Competizione 2008. Now in terms of the PP rating, it's 558.14, it's an FR drivetrain, 442 brake horsepower, fairly weighty at 1585 kilograms, and is naturally aspirated. From a price point, it's 350,000 credits, so certainly not the cheapest car in the game, and I believe it does also rotate in the used car dealership. Now in terms of the livery, I want to give a big thank you to Badboy37, who has this stunning livery for the 8C, basically turning the road car into a full-blown race car. It looks absolutely fantastic, draped in those alpha colours. Now in terms of the build itself, if you don't want to use a livery, you can also do as following: wide body modification, and then onto the wheels, it's going to be whatever wheels you want. Now in terms of what I'm running here, it's going to be either the 20 or the 21 inch rims, and then in terms of the width, it's wide, and also the offset is wide again. So here are the body modifications. It's going to be a front bumper type A. Once again on the side, it's going to be a type A, and then if we head over to the rear wing, it's going to be a custom wing set, which is a high and an M plate type 21. That is going to give you the exact specifications of the Aero that I'm running. As you can see, nothing else will need to be changed. Onto the actual tuning sheet, this is a 700pp build running on racing hard tyres. In terms of suspension, it's fully customizable with a height of 95 and 100. The anti-roll bar for this car is going to be set at 7 at the front and 9 at the rear. Compression next, that is 25 at the front, 35 at the rear. Expansion is 35 front and 45 rear. Frequency is 250 front and 305 at the rear. Camber angle is 2 across for both. Toe angle 0 at the front and 0.10 inwards at the rear. Fully customizable differential with the torque set to 15, acceleration 12 and braking 10. Onwards to the transmission next. This is the fully customizable racing. Set this to 340, and here are the manual adjustments. The final is 4.031, 6 is 0.706-425, 5th is 0.849-333. The 4th is going to be 1.067-265. The 3rd is 1.404-201. Then if we move into the 2nd, it's 1.937-146, and 1st is 2.928-96. Then as you can see, there is no ballast or power restriction on this car. Fully customizable ECU. Downforce we can have relatively low, so it's going to be 50 at the front and 200 at the rear. Then as you can see, you cannot turbocharge this vehicle. However, we do have the racing air cleaner, racing silencer, racing exhaust manifold, racing brake system. I've got the slotted ones here, racing pads, brake controller. Of course, you can tune this on the fly to your personal taste. Then we have the racing clutch and flywheel, carbon propeller shaft, and then in terms of perma mods, it's polished ports, high lift camshaft S, weight reduction stage 1, 2 and 3, and finally increased body rigidity. Feel free to pause at any moment. So there we go, that is the livery, aero and tuning sheet done and dusted. Let's head into event difficulty next. If you're grinding money, I fully recommend just setting it to easy difficulty. And in terms of the event, this is a 700 build, so WTC 700 is definitely the way to go. However, the main one of course is going to be the 24-hour of Le Mans event. This is the 30-minute one for 550k on the maximum reward. Of course, with the 50% bonus on top, that takes it up to over 800k. Now in terms of the car itself, let's talk about the 8C. This was one that has been sat in my garage for the longest time, and honestly I rarely ever used it. For me it's one of the best looking cars to ever exist, like most Alfa Romeos. However, in terms of its place in GT7, it just felt a bit kind of in a middle ground. However, I decided to bring it out and tune it to 700 pp, and honestly I got a pretty good and reactive GT3 build out of this one. So the main aim of this car is to basically be an all-rounder. It's incredibly quick in a straight line, but it's also incredibly precise through the corners, as well as being very easy to control. Yes, it can have its moments, but overall this is a build that should suit every type of GT7 player, no matter their skill level. So even if you're new at the game, feel free to give this one a try. So let's head over to the actual strategy for this race. It was a bit of a weird one when it came to the weather, very hit and miss overall. Of course the first thing we're going to do is put the car in fuel mix 6. So the car itself isn't the most fuel efficient and it's not necessarily the best on tyres. However, it's absolutely perfect for this 700 event. You don't really need any more than the 3 laps on anything including the tyres because of the random weather. Now we did have an example finally of that yellow flag coming out. It seemed like the Supra just made a bit of a mistake and took a ride into the barrier. That is the only way you'll lose the clean race bonus, if you receive a penalty from a yellow flag. Apart from that, feel free to do as you absolutely wish for the 30 minutes of this event. Now in terms of the event itself, we did manage to take the lead relatively early on. Of course the Alfa does push on to a pretty high top speed, especially compared to the Group 4 cars that we're up against, so we don't really need to worry about them at all. Now once you've taken the lead and you get yourself onto lap 2, you want to start monitoring that weather radar. This is because this is the highest chance to start getting that weather moving in over the track map. While sometimes it's very hit and miss, like you can see here at the end of lap 2 we got the formation coming in but no rain in it, and then a lap later we actually got some rain in it after it eventually started to shift over towards the track itself. So at this point I'm just going to make the jump onto the intermediate tyres. That is because I'm not too sure exactly how much the rain's going to come in. I'm not sure how long it's going to go on for. It already been heading over for a while and missed the majority of the track, so honestly I'm just going to err on the side of caution. Now this was probably the best bet because at the end of lap 3 I've got to pit in for fuel anyway, so I may as well just cover it off with the correct tyre choice. Again, it's a little bit of a lucky draw when it comes to this one, whether the rain will stick around for long enough or not, and it actually would in the end for a couple of laps, covering the track and taking it into intermediate conditions. So always just ensure that you're covering off any weather, you're filling the car up as much as possible, and you're just keeping on top of those things. Honestly, it's not that difficult. Most of the time with all of the cars in GT7 you'll pit around about lap 3 or lap 4 at most, mainly because of the weather anyway. So at that point we're on the intermediates, we've filled the car to full, and it's time to carry on as more rain comes in. Now honestly it wouldn't stick around for too long. As you can see towards the end of lap 4 it's just about to disappear off the map, but it certainly took us into intermediate conditions, so I don't want to pit just yet as it's still going to be very slippy on that surface. However, a lap later at the end of lap 5 it was the perfect opportunity to whip off the intermediates and get ourselves back on those racing hards. Now at this point I'm once again going to fill the car to full. That is because of the timing left over on the actual event. It means that I'm pretty much certain to complete 7 laps at this point, so doing the math there's no real point in me stopping and waiting. I may as well just do those 2 extra laps. So at the end of lap 6 I had a bit of fuel spare and it was time to just turn the car up to its maximum power output. This way we can get as close to possible, completing 7 laps in just over 30 minutes. As you can see, coming across the line with a final lap time of 3 minutes 58. So there we go, overall time was a 30 minutes 16.122. In terms of the event itself, our fastest lap was at 3 minute 58.521, set on lap 7, which of course was the final lap of the race. In terms of the payout, it's 825k for this one with that clean race bonus. very easy to pretty much guarantee yourself that every single time. So there we go, that is a single build for the Alfa Romeo 8C. I absolutely love this car. Hopefully it suits you guys as well. I've tried to make it as accessible as possible to as many different players as possible. I know some people like a very stiff car, some people like a very controlled car. This one feels like a great mix of both. Anyway, sticking with the money grind theme tomorrow, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Now, of course, I've already done a glitch method and I've already done a single build. So tomorrow we're actually going to look back at the history of the GT7 money grind. That is because it's changed so much over the 2.5 years this game has been released. And hopefully it starts bumping out that nostalgia for the day one GT7 and the likes of the Tomahawk glitches when the game first released. Anyway, join me for that tomorrow. A massive thank you to all of my channel members. If you do want to join, feel free. It does massively help me out between uploads. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, guys. Peace.